All right, so we're on our Cursor 9 tractor here, and we're going to be hooking up our gauges to the fuel system. We're going to start over here with our gauge. This is going to be on our suction side of our fuel system. The second gauge over is for the return. The third and fourth gauges are for our fuel filter. They're going to go in our fuel filter. The one is for the pressure side coming from the pump, and the other is the outlet side that goes back into the high pressure pump in this CP33 system. So let's go ahead and get started. We're going to start up connecting up to our return line up here at the top. And again, for ease of use, the return line comes out of our high pressure pump, comes down in. This is the return line back to the fuel system. There's a fuel cooler on this unit up in the front. And of course on the bottom, and very difficult to see, is the return line coming out of our cylinder head for our injector return. So very simply what we're going to do is come in here and break into this line, and we're going to take it off. We're going to break in series with this system and connect up on the return side. Once we get the line disconnected, we can offset it slightly out of the way. We're going to use our adapter fittings that we selected. This is a good time to remove our protective caps and insert the lines in. We're going to connect up here easiest we can. Sometimes you can route underneath in order to get a more direct connection here. We're going to take our fitting and connect up to our return line system here. We're going to thread the adapter on, and then of course we're going to loop the line around, and we're going to connect that up. Okay, with the line installed, we want to go down. This is our return line, so we're going to take and select our second gauge here, disconnect our cap on the mini mess line, and we're going to connect that up to our T, and we've got our first connection made. Our next lines that we're going to be connecting here for the system, we're going to hook up our two lines in our filter, and these take our special filter adapters. One is for the pressure differential switch for the filter clogging, and the other is for temperature. So of course we're going to take these both out, and we'll take out our pressure differential first. Now when we take these off, oftentimes we're going to have some diesel fuel that might seep out of the system. Letting the system sit, it does tend to drain, but every now and then we will get some fuel out of the filter housing. So we take our pressure differential switch out, and we notice we have an O-ring here on the end. This fitting fits in place in here. Don't set this down too far away, because one of the things that you're going to want to do is to plug this back in again so you don't create any faults in the electrical system. And hook up our other adapter. And we're going to want to snug these both down again so they don't leak. Hook up our switch so we don't generate any faults. Next step is to install the short whip hoses and then connect them to the last two gauges here. Now in this installation, I've chosen this gauge to go to the temperature. That is going to be picking up the pressure out of the pump into the filter, and of course this is the return from the filter back to the high pressure section of the pump, or the high pressure pump inlet. So we have these all hooked up, they're connected. Now we move on to the last one here in our system, and that is going to be the suction line. So on most of our goal-oriented systems and system installations, you always want to try to attach as close as possible to the gear pump, which in this case is mounted up here on the CP33 pump. In this installation, however, we see we have steel lines that run all the way down to the ECU, and of course our steel line that runs down to our filter head here, making it very difficult to break into this system as you know, you saw when we had to get in on the return side. With steel lines, this is very difficult to get into this system from the steel line aspect. So rather than going up here, what we're going to do is we're going to come in here at the top of the ECU, and we're actually going to break in here. This is easier and more accessible than disconnecting all of the clips that hold the steel lines on, so we can move the line out of the way and we can get in with our second T-hose assembly and route it in an area up here. Very close to the DOC, in the area of the hood. If we had to do some running and driving with this vehicle or put it under operation, we'd need the hood down. It would be very difficult to do all of that with the hose up there. So again, best choice of selection is down here. And we're going to come in and we're going to take off this line that goes on top here of the ECU. You're going to need a backup wrench for the fitting on the ECU because we don't want that to break loose. And we're going to take this line loose and take it off of here. Now that we have our line out, the Tier 4Bs have a flexible hose that connects up to our steel line, making this relatively easy to maneuver around. And of course we need to take our special adapter here. This is the let's see, this is the number 22 adapter out of the kit, and we're going to connect that up to the top of our ECU. It's a special 90-degree fitting, so it points straight out from the top of the ECU. Take our protective cap off, our quick disconnect, attach on there. Our second fitting, this is a number 14 fitting. This is going to thread in the end of the line that goes up to the suction side of our pump. Again, we are on the suction side, so we do want to be mindful of that. If we leave these fittings the least bit loose, we're going to suffer from some air entrainment into the system. So again, we're ready to go. Our line's hooked up. We are connected, and we are ready to hook up our final line here to the unit. Once this is all connected, we should be ready to start the unit up, and we should be able to return pressures for our filter clogging here, our pressure inlet to the pump, our return pressure, and of course we're looking here on our suction side to see if we have excessive suction. And also, the other thing is for air bubble entrainment in this line.